Hey guys, how are you today? So this stream here is going to be watching Lakewood, Colorado. It's the council meeting. Starts at 7 o'clock, and we're gonna just mirror it. I was asked to check it out. It's supposed to be an interesting show tonight. Hey, I'm Star Media, Princess of the Bowery Vote. All right, changed it up a little bit. See, Sweet Tea Audits. How you guys doing? So yeah, it's supposed to be a regular shit show tonight, I guess, for this meeting. So we're gonna check it out and we'll see what happens. This is Lakewood, Colorado. What's Truth? Good to see you. I'm Swag Johnson. I hope things are going better for you. Get in touch with me. So yeah, I'm not in Lakewood, but somebody asked me to cover this tonight, and so that's the least I can do. Supposed to be a lot of things coming out in the wash at this meeting. So appreciate you guys stopping in. Thanks for the thumbs up. Need more info. What's on the agenda? Those meetings can be long and boring. Yeah. Hey, Navin, I'm guessing that's what a lot of this is gonna be. I ain't even gonna bullshit you. But the agenda is not posted on this site right here yet. I'm sure at the beginning of the stream it will start. So that's funny, Princess. So yeah, I mean, as far as the agenda, I think it's going to be broad tonight, from what I'm told. So, I cover these, Navin. I cover these in different counties. Sometimes they are just long and boring. Sometimes I go there and physically sit through them even, I ain't done much this winter. It's been cold and nasty. But I like watching these. Sometimes you never know what you'll catch. One time I caught a hot mic, and the people who was sitting there on the hot mic talking, it was funny because they was talking about me the day before when I was at the DHS office raising hell with them, making them do their job and shit. And yeah, I caught it on the hot mic at a city council meeting talking about me. It was kind of funny. You never know what you'll see or hear. We got a little bit here before it starts. I just wanted to make sure that I had everything set up because I figure in the beginning they're going to show the agenda. And so I didn't want to miss that. Wonder why it's not letting me make this full screen either. I guess just because they're not going yet. to get their little counter going, countdown. So they got 21 minutes. So we'll just let it run. Appreciate you guys stopped in. Yeah, that's a little better, Princess OPD. I knew who it was, though. Come on. All right. So, Navin, yeah, I guess there's some truths coming out tonight, is what I can say I heard. That is the insight that I got. There's going to be some truths coming out tonight. Ex Bootlicker, good to see you. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So, I mean, like I say, it was just an insider tip. I was asked to cover this. Some people are going to speak, and I guess they're opening up the phone lines today as well. I heard that. So, like, some of the people that can't go out or aren't going there in person can call, and they get 3 minutes to speak their mind. So that may be an interesting part. I'm guessing there's just going to be a couple interesting parts. I'm sure the meeting overall is going to be boring. Just saying. Most of them are, right? Like, it's not like a Jerry Springer episode or something. But sometimes they just spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and even that's worth watching. You're like, damn. I mean, I think the last one I went to in person was in Orfano County, Colorado, and they spent like $50,000 just in one swipe of a pen. Yeah, over at the 11, they shot the dog. Yup. Hey, Keeper, good to see you. Yup, they did. They shot that dog. I seen the video. That was just crazy to watch. So how's everybody doing today? It's a rough neighborhood up there. X, it's a rough neighborhood up there. Denver, that whole surrounding area, Lakewood. It's a rough. I go up there from time to time. The last time I went up there, I went up there to do some videoing with Amazing Audits, and he invited me to Cats Not Cops, and we marched. We closed the roads down. We marched. DJ K Dot was there. Mexican Longhair was there. Shaggy Gibson Live was there. We had a good time. We shut the roads down and we marched around the Capitol building. Slow Burner, what's up, brother? Good to see you. So it's a rough neighborhood. Luckily, the last time I was there, my interactions was pretty good, but it's rough. And the homeless sweeps, you guys, if you don't have Cut the Plastic, man, get Cut the Plastic, Amazing Audits. Those guys, they're up there. Those homeless sweeps, that's sickening to watch. Like, I watch, but man, it's just terrible. You just bring in the damn garbage trucks and just start loading them up. So it's just, we got to keep an eye on them. And And I don't know if anybody else is going to cover this meeting. Like I say, I was asked to. Slow burner house ruckus. Well, guys, we got spoiled rotten. Exactly, mine too. Spoiled rotten. All right, let's see. It's not gonna let me full screen that. I'm not sure why. That's all right. Shouldn't be a whole lot to see. I mean, that should work. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and mute this. It'll be started here. Like I say, you can see the countdown there. Appreciate you guys stopping in. I'll catch you in the chat. All right, guys, we should be taking off here shortly. Let's see how they handle it.
We'll make sure that we get. And with that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Paul,
Here.
Abel,
Here.
Franks,
Here.
Jansen,
Here.
Maya Guerrero,
Here.
Vincent,
Here.
Olver,
Here.
Shah Razin,
Here.
Springsteen,
Here.
Stewart,
Here.
Strong.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right. Well, I'd like to certainly welcome everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. It's been a long time since we've had this many people in these chambers, so probably 2019. And so we're thrilled to have you. We're glad that we can all do this together. So I'd ask if you'd please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll stay standing for a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. So before we get started, I will go ahead and read our statement of conflict of interest. All members of the City Council have the responsibility to comply with the terms of Charter 7.2B and excuse themselves from voting on any matter in which they determine they have a personal, financial, or business interest. The City Council is empowered by Charter 7.2B to agree by unanimous vote, excluding the member at issue, to excuse any member of the council from voting on a matter in which they determine such member has a personal, financial, or business interest. So with that said, we will move into public comment, and this is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address the City Council on items that did not appear on the agenda. All comments should be directed to the City Council. I ask that all persons calling in observe the same decorum of City Council chambers or decorum in these chambers. I will say for our folks who are joining us virtually, it's 3 minutes. So when you're at 30 seconds, you'll hear a ding. And when your time is up, you'll hear another ding. For our folks who are here with us tonight, you'll have a little timer here. And that will go, I think, yellowish at 30 seconds and then red when your time is up. I'll politely ask you to wrap that up. I know we have a lot of interest tonight, and I think we have some pooling, so I appreciate that. I will give a couple of quick updates. So we had 7 comments on Lakewood Speaks. Certainly want to recognize that there was a issue related to crosswalks and crossing the street in Belmar. So for our person who weighed in on that, if we have some more information, we can try to get back to you. I will also mention our friends from Bear Creek Lake are here tonight. Save Bear Creek Lake Park. Certainly appreciate your advocacy. We were also in Washington, D.C. last week, and I had a conversation with Congressman Perlmutter about this and this process as well. As many of you may know, he is familiar as this happened at Chatfield a few years ago. So I'd also encourage you to continue to stay engaged in that realm. And I understand our city manager is meeting with the crew coming up as well. So quick update there. And then for our safe parking people, Pastor Ben, I see you here. Thank you, sir. Looks like we are scheduled to take that up. That was a council priority. And we're looking to take that up on April 25th. Looks like it's calendared for. Okay, so as soon as I get our sign-up sheets, and again, I know there's a lot of passion and a lot of folks that wish to speak. We'll certainly make sure everybody has that chance. But if you just simply agree with the person who's speaking, which I imagine a lot of you will, feel free to just say yeah. With that, Katie, do you want to start? Okay. And I imagine Don, Kathy, and Barry are all here. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll set you up for 10 minutes.
And before you start, I have a slideshow.
Great. Don, Kathy, or Barry, did you sign up on one of these other sheets? Do you know? No? Okay. All right. No.
Well, I'm Katie Gill. I'm here representing Save Bear Creek Lake Park. I want to thank you again for your time and your service. If anyone is here for Save Bear Creek Lake Park, could you just briefly stand so we can see our numbers there? Okay, thank you.
Katie, real quick, can we set the timer to 10 minutes, please? Thank you.
Oh. So what you're seeing on the screen now is sort of a bird's eye view. I wanted to provide some images to show what's at stake in the potential expansion of the Bear Creek Reservoir. And what you see in the center of that slide is the current pool, approximately 2,000 acre feet of water. And what you see around that darker blue area, the lighter blue shaded area, is the surface area of a proposed 22,000 acre foot pool. That would be a 10-fold increase in volume. That expanded pool represents over 500 acres of the Bear Creek Lake Park and most of the forested riparian regions along Bear and Turkey Creek. The dam was built for flood control, most of you know that. And the Corps of Engineers is investigating whether a large portion of the reservoir's capacity may be reallocated for water storage. The potential for increased flood risk is being assessed, but other negative impacts are also being considered. At this time, the principal municipal partners seeking to store water here are the cities of Brighton, Berthoud, and Dacono. For a better view of what's at stake, let's go to the top of Mount Carbon. From the top of Mount Carbon, you can look out to the west into the Turkey Creek corridor and the Bear Creek corridor. You see those cottonwood groves. Through those forested groves, there are running rivers. And that's what allows the riparian ecosystem to be so vibrant. And it's pretty neat for people too. This is what's really great about Bear Creek Lake Park is that a river runs through it. Everything you're looking at would be inundated in a 20,000 acre foot expansion. And those two pictures on the left-hand side of the screen would be inundated in even a 10,000. The top one would be inundated at any amount of expansion. This is another view from inside the Bear Creek corridor. You can't see the little deer there, but it's a nice young little white-tailed deer. That's what it's like when you're inside this place that is currently at risk. This as well, all of that is at risk. This is the Turkey Creek corridor. You can see Turkey Creek on the left and Turtle Pond on the right. That owl was actually there near the Turtle Pond. And this is another portion of the park that is that would be inundated in a 20,000 acre foot expansion. A lot of people go to the Turtle Pond. There are trails that encircle it, and people enjoy watching wildlife from there. Speaking of wildlife, all of that wildlife lives within the, that's just a small sampling of the wildlife that lives in the park, and the habitat for all of those animals and many more would be severely devastated by this expansion. We are absolutely engaging with the Corps of Engineers in the public scoping process. As you know, that's where we need to be putting a lot of our work right now, providing input to the Corps for this feasibility study. But we are here because your input also matters. According to the Corps of Engineers and the Colorado Water Conservation Board, the city's input matters a lot. Christopher Facero, project manager, USACE, has emphasized that Lakewood is an integral part of the process. During the first public scoping meeting in October, Mr. Facero noted that the city had participated in 2 planning meetings related to the current study and that the Corps welcomes that ongoing participation in the process. More importantly, he said, quote, "The city of Lakewood should definitely not just be on the sidelines." These remarks begin at the 2-hour mark during the recorded public meeting. 96 minutes into that same meeting, Greg Johnson, Chief of Project Management at the Corps of Engineers, spoke about how quality of life matters in the current study. He said, quote, "There is some special emphasis on social well-being considerations in the decision-making process that came out of the Assistant Secretary of the Army within the last calendar year. So social well-being is being elevated to a higher level of consideration versus just pure economics anymore." He went on to say, quote, "It's one of the reasons we are trying to keep the Lakewood community engaged in this process, because you'll know better than we will in terms of how those effects translate into your own backyard." I also want to point out, and this might put me over 10 minutes, that in today's article, in the Lakewood Economic Development article, it called out the importance of quality of life and economic development as an important factor in what attracts business to our community, and also highlighted that more than 7,000 acres of parks and open space in Lakewood are part of making this a vibrant economic climate. So about 600 of those acres are potentially at risk right now. While some have suggested that we wait until the Corps finishes the feasibility study, Mr. Facero emphasized that early input into the study is important because that's what gives the Corps an opportunity to address our concerns while they are scoping alternatives. They are seeking our input, they are scoping alternatives now. Waiting for the outcome of the study before engaging in the process essentially forfeits our input. I want to address quickly 2 misconceptions. One, we can't do anything about this because it's federal property. We, the people, do have a say, even with respect to federal land. The primary authorized purpose of the Bear Creek Dam and Reservoir is flood control, and the Corps cannot unilaterally change those purposes. A new purpose, such as water storage, requires a new authorization from Congress. That's what this feasibility study is all about. The second misconception is that we need this water storage. In 2015, the Colorado Water Plan set a goal to increase the state's water storage capacity by 400,000 acre feet by the year 2050. Well, that goal was driven by predictions that the state's population would double between 2008 and 2050, from 5 million to 10 million. Well, according to the recent census, the number of people moving into Colorado has actually been declining since 2015. We're at 5.8 million now, and the state demographer's office projects that Colorado's population will grow by only another 1.8 million between now and 2050. While that's still a lot, and we need to prepare our water storage assets for this future, these official projections change the trajectory of water storage in the state of Colorado. If they're in the ballpark, we're looking at 7.5 million people by 2050, but we're setting our water storage goals for 10 million. And maybe it's okay to store a little extra water, but there are costs. And one of those costs is the Bear Creek Lake Park. If we need to at some point sacrifice this park for the greater good, okay, but I don't think we're there yet. Alternatives and compromise can preserve the most sensitive environmentally valuable regions of the Bear Creek Lake Park while still contributing to the statewide water storage goal. Since the study began, the Corps has engaged in considering alternatives such as excavating the current pool to increase the storage volume within the existing footprint. And significant water storage capacity exists along the South Platte in the form of sand and gravel pits closer to the municipal partners who propose to store their water here. I hope the city will advocate for these alternatives. The Bear Creek Lake Park already provides a balance of land-based and water-based recreation. Nixing either in favor of the other just doesn't seem right. The land-based uses in the park provide equity for a variety of users. Trails, bike paths, and land-based facilities offer something for everyone, regardless of physical or financial abilities. For those with the means to own, haul, and store a powerboat, even the largest pool under consideration would be less than a third the size of Chatfield Reservoir, and only when there's enough inflow from Bear Creek to fill it, which would not be very often. We do want a secure water future for Colorado, and we also value our parks and open spaces for the quality of life they provide. I know city officials value both of these things as well. I don't see how the city or the community benefits from this expansion as proposed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Nicely done. Okay. So next up, I have Liam Hopkins. Good evening.
Good evening. Am I good to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Liam Hopkins. I'm a junior at Green Mountain High School this year, and my connection with Bear Creek Lake Park runs deep, as I've been enjoying the park for as long as I can remember. Yet my true link with the park didn't begin until this August, when I found a tiny woodhouseless toad biking along one of the many paths that would be inundated by the plan to expand the reservoir. While this little amphibian is the most common amphibian in the Denver metro area, it sparked a passion within me, and suddenly I became immersed in the world of Colorado's reptiles and amphibians, spending a few days a week at Bear Creek Lake Park searching for them. And my fascination with reptiles and amphibians may not be the most topical of stories for you, but it's actually a perfect example of what makes Bear Creek Lake Park special. Young people like me discovering a new passion in the outdoors, whether that's like camping, mountain biking, hiking, bird watching. All these recreational opportunities are offered at Bear Creek Lake Park, a quote unquote haven of nature in the bustling city, an escape from just the busyness of the Lakewood metro area. So many people rely on Bear Creek Lake Park as a way to escape from the city and to escape from real life as well, especially with the raging COVID-19 pandemic and also the mental health epidemic affecting a lot of people, especially in my demographic in terms of age in high school. That makes it even more important to help protect the park. So I'll leave you with this to the Lakewood City Council members. I hope that you are able to recognize the magical abilities this park holds and acknowledge the flowing creeks through the cottonwood trees and the splendid riparian corridors are home to many memories and even more memories yet to be made for people my age, older, younger, and everything in between. And also, I have a quote for you. We not inherited the land from our fathers, but have borrowed it from our children. Protect the future generations' ability to use this wonderful park and all of the animals that call it home. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. So I did fail to mention in my script that I would encourage you to avoid audio applause or discourse. So go ahead and do this. We certainly understand everybody where you're all at, but we can do this and still get through to that. So thank you all. Don Walters. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Dawn Walters. I'm speaking on behalf of Save Bear Creek Lake Park, as well as an organization that I'm involved with called Little Bellas. Little Bellas is an organization that uses Bear Creek Lake Park for our program. Our program teaches young girls ages 7 to 13 how to mountain bike. But not only how to mountain bike, Little Bellas teaches girls it's a platform and a pathway for personal growth, building community, and competency throughout their lives. It's not just bikes. We're not coaches, we're mentors. And we have about 30 women who volunteer their time, 5 weeks in May, 5 weeks in August, and a summer camp in June, where we serve over 100 girls, 45 in May, a different 45 in August, as well as another 20 in June. You know, if this were to happen, if they were to flood this, it would take away almost all of the trails that we use. We need trails of different levels for the girls that we're working with. 7-year-olds need a lot of help. They need flat. 13-year-olds need Mount Carbon, which I know wouldn't be affected, but the trails leading over to it sure would. By eliminating the trails, we would lose the opportunity to have this program. Because our program is so popular, this program fills in minutes when we open registration. We've looked to expand to other places in this area, anywhere close to the Lakewood, Denver metro area, and there really are no other places for us to use. The next closest would be down in Castle Rock. So the people in our community would miss out on this program. We do have other programs, Boulder, Erie, Grand Junction, but I mean, you all know where those are. And our families would just simply not be able to access those programs. So I just hope that you will all think about not only the nature, of course, the people that use it. I've used this park forever. I've brought my own children there. We use it for camping and biking and hiking, all of that kind of stuff. And I've also taken grown women who want to learn how to mountain bike. It's not just for the young, it's for everybody. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'll start calling folks on deck. So Linda Geis, you're up next. Then I have Ben and Becky Hensley, and then Lyle. I will also mention, I think I forgot that the Ward 5 meeting will be also dedicated to this subject coming up. Yep. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak. I must be the oldest one because I've got to use the reading glasses. I'm addressing this primarily to the City Council and also to you, Mr. Mayor. This is, in short, as I did speak last time, asking for your support for all of the above, as we've been hearing from both Katie, from Dawn, anyone, the nice gentleman that we had about the salamanders and such. This is something that's very, very important, but it's not just the fact of losing some of the wildlife and such. We need to have your help with getting people to understand that our city is behind us in all of these efforts. I don't know how many of you have a sign in your front yard, or even if you can have one, but believe me, give me your address, I'll drop one off. I will be happy to do that. We are in such a place that I think that when you need something, you ask us for help. And when we need something, we are certainly here to help, ask you for help. And that's one of the parts that is good about our city. We're very proud of it. Everybody in the other states want to live here in Colorado. They come from far and wide, but they also use our mountains. They use our ski slopes, but also they use our lake. And this is our backyard. And with all the activities that we do have there, this is something that's so very important, not only for my generation, that was my daughter that just spoke a minute ago, for her generation, and also for my grandchildren as well as my great-grandchildren. I want that to be there so that we can have an opportunity to continue to go kayaking with the kids, so we can go and look for the owls up in the trees. These are things that are colorful Colorado items. And as well as the visitors coming into town, yes, they too can see that as they're driving 470, and they'll probably come back down and use it after they get back from the ski slopes because they know it's there this summer. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And my plea is to please help us with getting this up to the Army Corps of Engineers, that they realize that we have City Council and you, Mr. Mayor, behind us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Pastor, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ben. I live in Ward 2. I'm the pastor of Lakewood United Methodist Church, just off West Colfax in the Iber neighborhood, on the corner of 14th and Brentwood, and I live next door to this church. We are experiencing a rising tide of a humanitarian crisis of homelessness in our city. And our best response to it so far has been to hand the burden of response completely over to our police force. Now, while I don't believe it's intentional, I think this frames homelessness as a crime, whether one is sleeping in a tent or in a gulch or in a car. And my friends, homelessness is not a crime. And yet we criminalize more than one form of it. So today I'm here to speak about how we criminalize vehicular-based homelessness by penalizing private property owners from trying to address this form of homelessness in a specific and humane way through providing a safe place to sleep on their parking lot. On April 25th, you will be considering, thank you by the way, Lakewood Municipal Code Chapter 10.80.020 subsection C, which has a little sentence in it that says, no vehicle that has not been designed for occupancy may be used as a dwelling. This means in effect that my church is not legally allowed to be in ministry with and serve our neighbors experiencing homelessness who are sleeping in their cars. My church with an acre-sized parking lot that sits unused at night. My church that seeks to be a vital part of our neighborhood. My church that seeks to meet the challenge that Jesus offers us in Matthew chapter 8, verse 20, when he cries out that foxes have holes, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Friends, Jesus was homeless. And we at Lakewood United Methodist Church see Jesus in the face of each person that we encounter experiencing homelessness. At my church, we also believe in partnerships, and we are inspired by the elegant and effective solution that organizations like the Safe Parking Initiative can provide to the growing amount of vehicular-based homelessness that we're seeing in our city and particularly in our county. The Safe Parking Initiative has a waiting list already of over 100 people in Lakewood alone. And yet there are no lots in our city that can provide spaces to do this important work because of this unfortunate statutory reality. I urge you to consider striking from our municipal code the legal language that makes vehicular-based homelessness a crime in our city. Making safe parking legal in our city will have the effect not only of providing a humane response of compassion to our neighbors, it can also eradicate homelessness and connect folks to housing while spending a staggeringly small amount of money to do so. My church intends to start a safe parking lot in June with just 4 spaces. And without any grant funding or public assistance, this is going to basically cost us just about $2,500 a year. $2,500 a year to potentially end homelessness for 4 families is glorious math, friends. Help us make it happen by getting this statute out of the way. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I wanted to clap too.
Yeah, but you can't.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Becky David Hensley, and I am also a resident of Ward 2, also married to Ben, and who is the pastor at Lakewood United Methodist Church. And while I am not officially on staff there, I am involved with our group that has been working toward the safe parking initiative and wanting to just provide safe parking to our neighbors who are experiencing vehicular homelessness. At Lakewood UMC, we do believe we are called to be active agents of compassion and justice in our neighborhood. And about a year ago, our safe parking team was very excited about the possibility of providing safe spaces for neighbors living in their cars on the brink of losing everything, to simply have the respite of a decent night's sleep, a bathroom, to have access to a bathroom, and a home-cooked meal on occasion. We were heartbroken and incredibly frustrated to learn that our attempts to provide this small measure of human dignity to our neighbors would have to be put on hold due to the single sentence in a municipal code: no motor vehicle that has not been designed for occupancy may be used as a dwelling. The Safe Parking Initiative as a program is safe, vetted, and proven, and it helps people who've experienced loss of housing at least remain safe in their cars until they're able to afford housing again, all through the help of churches or other partners who share their unused space overnight. In Lakewood alone, there are currently 102 people on the wait list for this program. Our church simply wants to be a part of the solution and hopefully encourage other churches, nonprofits, or even private businesses in the area who don't use their parking lots at night to consider joining us in that effort. With the vetting process of the Safe Parking Initiative, we are all safer in our communities because we will know the folks who are a part of the program and will know that their basic needs are being met. We are all painfully aware that homelessness is an increasing issue throughout the nation in the wake of job loss and the end of eviction moratoriums from the COVID-19 pandemic. So many of our neighbors have suffered incredible loss, and they continue to suffer the ripple effects of that loss. So please allow us to do this one small thing to provide some relief to individuals and families who are working through various channels and programs to get back into permanent housing. You can make this happen by simply striking from our municipal code the legal language that criminalizes vehicular-based homelessness in our city. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you. So I have Lyle, then Lori Schneider, and then Jamie Fletcher. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Lyle Gallivan. I live in Ward 1, kind of down the street from Charlie. And my wife and I have been in Lakewood for 37 years, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Safe Parking Initiative. When we moved here 37 years ago, obviously homelessness wasn't something we thought about or saw. We've seen that change, as most everyone here has, dramatically. We're also members of Lakewood United Methodist Church, and we have, through that, become informed about safe parking. And I'll just quickly say how impressed I am with that initiative and seeing it work over in Golden and other municipalities, and the ability it has to take people who are experiencing potentially short-term homelessness to be able to make the transition into more long-term housing and not fall through the cracks and end up long-term or chronically homeless. We think it's a great initiative, and we're looking forward to trying to get it working in Lakewood. And I appreciate the city council being proactive in trying to take on this kind of issue, and look forward to your help with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Lori Schneider, and I'm a resident of Ward 4. And I, too, am here to discuss the municipal code regarding safe parking. I would like to see nonprofits such as Safe Parking Initiative be able to operate within Lakewood. And currently, as you've heard, the code does not allow us to do that legally. In my professional life, I daily work with those experiencing homelessness. Many have cars and are in between jobs or homes. Some have had health difficulties, are escaping abuse, or have significant tragedies in their lives. Today alone, I helped an individual that had a vehicle. He explained to me that he had a degree in sociology and was looking for jobs and somewhere permanent to live. He was currently living in his car. I helped a second woman that stopped in just to let me know that she had finally found housing after 5 years. The vast majority of those that I help are just like you and me. Having a safe place to sleep and shower allows many to continue working or to find new jobs and eventually find permanent housing. I believe nonprofits like the Safe Parking Initiative can be a vital step in housing more of our residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Fletcher, come on down. Then I have Joni Smith, Brian Lynch, and Desiree Gonzalez. Good evening.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Jamie Fletcher, and I am your newly appointed commissioner on the Lakewood Advisory Committee. And for my own sake, I thought I would stop by here in person rather than Zoom and introduce myself as your new Lakewood Advisory Commissioner. I want to thank you in person for appointing me to this commission. I have served before. I was an elected city official, a city council member, much like you all, in a city in Florida. And then more recently, I was a city planning commissioner for the city of Colorado Springs. So I think public service is critical. People, I'm so happy to see so many people here tonight in person and involved in the issues. And so I appreciate the opportunity to serve again in Lakewood and look forward to working with you all in the coming years in person. Thank you.
Thank you. And there's a little plug for the Lakewood Advisory Commission. There are openings. Joni? Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Joni Smith. I'm also a member of Lakewood United Methodist Church, and I just want to do one of these for the four people that have spoken for the Safe Parking Initiative. I am on the committee, and I've given my time and my money toward this effort so that we can get it up and going, and would really appreciate any efforts that you can do to make that happen. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. So I have Brian, Desiree, and then Lynn Ann. Did Lynn Ann leave? She might have left. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Brian Lynch, and I live in unincorporated Jefferson County. I would like to say that I support wholeheartedly the comments of people previously with the Save Bear Creek Lake Park organization. But I did want to add that when I moved to the West Metro area about 20 plus years ago, I was amazed to learn that Bear Creek Lake Park, I actually thought it was a state park. I did not realize that it was actually a municipal park, and I was just amazed by the variety of activities that it supports. And I just want to let you know that not only is it a fabulous amenity for Lakewood residents, but it also for we who live in unincorporated or just the general West Metro area. It's just an awesome place, and I would like it to stay that way. So, and the other thing is, I didn't realize that you were going to be talking about the safe parking, but I do work in Golden, and I am aware of their safe parking program. And I was initially really skeptical about it, and I thought it would possibly bring like a lot of problems to the neighborhood. But since I see it almost every day, I discovered that it has been really successful, and I haven't seen or heard of any problems resulting from it. So I do think it's a good program, and I would urge Lakewood to approve it.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you. Desiree? And Lynn Ann, you're back, so you're up next. And then Adrian. Adrian, are you here? There you are. Good evening. Welcome.
I'm speaking on behalf of all the kids who've killed themselves because of the pedophile ring around Bear Creek Lake Park. It started in the early 90s. Jacob McKnight was murdered, stabbed to death because he was going to talk. One of these pedophiles is sitting before me right now. And I know this because I'm a victim of this pedophile. And I had a DA meeting today, so I can't say more than that. So that's it.
Great. Thank you. Wish you good luck. Lynn Ann, come on down. Hi.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Welcome.
My name is Lynn Ann Heising. I'm the Executive Director for Severe Weather Shelter Network. And just want to say thank you for the support that this City Council has provided the City of Lakewood through CDBG grants for the last 2 years. I also am speaking about the municipal code that is preventing churches and other organizations and businesses from providing their parking lots as a safe parking feature. We, as a Severe Weather Shelter Network, partner with Safe Parking Initiative. And so those folks that are sleeping in their cars through that program stay with us on those coldest winter nights. So for me, it is one of those that's important that we extend the dignity of a night's sleep, given basic access to restrooms, reasonable assumption of their safety, and also regular visits from case management that can transform homelessness crisis into housing. So as I speak to you tonight, I think of a number of people that I know we have sheltered whose story is similar to so many, that they have job loss, they have maybe a chronic illness, they've experienced the death of a loved one, and those situations are what put them into homelessness to begin with. Their car is one last safe place. Once they lose their car, they lose their ability to get to work. So many of our safe parking people are working here in Lakewood, paying taxes to support you. So I would strongly encourage you to consider removing the phrase that no motor vehicle that has not been designed for occupancy may be used as a dwelling. If you strike that, then that gives those folks an extra measure of safety. It gives them an opportunity to continue working and striving toward regaining housing, which maybe means that I don't get to meet them, but that's good if I don't get to meet them in those contexts. So thank you for all that you do. I know that this city council has been very supportive of Severe Weather Shelter Network, but also just trying to address homelessness in your city. This is just one more measure, one more opportunity for you as city council to have an impact for the least of these among the people who live in your city. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have Adrian, Brenda, and Maddie. Hi, good evening. Sure. I'll save you one.
Hello. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I would like to say, dear Mayor Paul and City Council, I am in agreement with the Lakewood Methodist Church, but for my own reasons. I would argue that the church should be able to exercise its property rights if it ventures to use its parking lot for whatever purpose it may choose, barring public health issues. If one espouses a libertarian perspective, then states violate the rights of their subjects by forcibly transferring their legitimate possessions to preferred others, like bailing out large companies to provide for pensions or pay for public parks. States violate the rights of citizens when they forcibly prevent them from innocently contracting and associating with others exercising their religion. Lakewood United Methodist Church, by using its parking lot to help others, help house others, is practicing its freedom of religion. John 4:7-11 says, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. The one who does not love does not know God, for God is love. By this, the love of God was manifested in us, that God has sent his only begotten Son into the world so that we might live through him. In this is love, not that we love God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins." Beloved, if God loved us, we also ought to love one another, and this is one way of doing it. I would venture to say that Lakewood United Methodist Church is practicing Christianity in a bold way by providing for those who are less fortunate and in dire need. Therefore, I agree that homeless people in their cars should be able to stay on private church properties because the church has property rights that it should be able to exercise. By doing so, they are exercising their First Amendment rights in order to practice their religion. And as it says in the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting any establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And they are definitely exercising their religion. And so I would like to thank you very much for your kind attention. And that's all I have to say.
Great, thank you. Brenda, Maddie. Hi.
Dear Mayor and Lakewood City Councilors, I am Brenda Bronson. I live in Ward 4, and I just recently learned of this, of Colorado's Safe Parking Initiative. The whole group, I didn't know about this until I learned it from Lakewood United Methodist Church's minister. So I read about it. So in the last week, that's what I've done. I've read about the Lakewood Safe Parking Initiative, and I emailed you what I'm not exactly reading. So you got that earlier today. But so you know that it provides a safe, legal place for people with vehicles experiencing homelessness to spend the night, provides them access to a bathroom, and also just a safe place to be next to a wall and not be woken up multiple times in the middle of the night. And I'm here also for you, asking you to strike that one sentence: no motor vehicles not designed for occupancy may be used as a dwelling, from the Lakewood City Code. I was asked, talking about my story, I've never been homeless. I've always had enough to eat, a place to sleep. I had my mother. Anyway, so when I ran into any situations, I had people to go to. And that's not everybody doesn't have that. And I am blessed that way. And I hope to interest my church in also joining. If 104, only 4 can stay at Ben's church. So I'd like to offer my church for some. I'm gonna work to convince them. And we need 104. That's the waiting list for Lakewood. And so we all need to do our part, and that's what I want to do because I've been given special blessings and I want to help. And providing, and it's cheap too. I just passed you out a little handout. To do this, it's really in your interests. And I'll give away my time.
Well, thanks. We actually started you late, so it's okay. Maddie, come on down. Maddie, then I have Jennifer, Pierce, and then Nick or Jamie. It's wonderful to see you.
Same to see all of you. I haven't been up here for a long time. However, I've been in this city for a long time before it was a city. So I would like to just speak for the Safe Parking Initiative. I am a member of the Lakewood United Methodist Church. I also serve on the Two Creeks Board, Two Creeks Neighborhood Board, the West Colfax Community Association, and I've been here, seen a lot, and the homeless issue is something that makes me very upset and sad. And I think there are things we can do, and this is just one small step in a big, big problem that I think we can make some difference with. Would like Methodist Church do this? They don't. Parking lots are big spaces that nobody uses for anything during the middle of the night. So I think if we can, as this city can do this in one small way, I am all for it. And the people that spoke before me are much more eloquent, and I agree with what they have to say. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for your service. I don't envy you sitting here every Monday night or whenever it is till 2 o'clock in the morning.
We haven't had one of those in a long time, so. Jennifer Pierce? Okay. Nick or Jamie? They may have left. Noah or Victoria? Come on down. And then after that, I have James, and that exhausts my sign-up list. So if you still wish to speak, please maybe come stop by the clerks and we'll get you up. Hi.
Hello. Council members, Mayor, thank you so much. I'm here representing myself, Noah Sandoval, my wife, Tori, and our young dog, Win, for Save Bear Creek Lake Park. We are all 3 of us avid trail users, runners, mountain bikers. Well, Win is not a mountain biker, but we love the park and we use it for recreational activities. But I also want to talk to you kind of a different side of that. I am a PhD student at School of Mines, and my research focuses on sustainability. And I think I want to think about the consequences of the decisions to flood this space. Do any of you know what the largest chunk of Denver Metro's water is used for? Lawns. Over 40% is used for lawns. So I think what we're doing with this decision is we are allowing this water to be used for lawns and taking up natural space here in Colorado. Beautiful native Colorado wildlife and scenery and landscapes to water lawns. And I think that's a mistake for our community to support that, to condone that. And so I want to think about what we are doing with this space, what our values are as a community, and making sure that we preserve these beautiful natural spaces that so many people love and use every single day. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. James Ginsburg, are you still with us? James? Okay. She didn't have to walk all the way back up either. Kim, come on down. So just so everybody knows, that is the last person that signed up in here. And then we'll go to our virtual. So if you're joining us online, if you want to press #9, *9, you can raise your hand. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Paul and City Council members. My name is Kim Cooley. I live on South Garland Street in Ward 1, and I am here representing the Bonneview Water and Sanitation District. We currently service approximately 185 customers, and we are solely in Ward 1. I'm here tonight because our board, it was brought to our attention by the Division of Local Government within the Colorado Department of Local Affairs that our board has not been properly doing elections and reporting properly. And so we came to the city last fall. We had an email go to Carrie Cutter, business specialist, who forwarded our email to Allison McKinney Brown, city attorney, who forwarded our email to Alex Dorotic, deputy city attorney, who said, go to Jefferson County. So we hired legal counsel and they said, no, you need to go to the city of Lakewood. You are solely within Ward 1, so we need someone on city council to help appoint a temporary board so that we can properly do elections and get our board meetings official. So I have been on the board for 9 months. I'm the new kid on the block. I volunteered to stand up for our group and come here. So I would like to know who would like to meet with me in person and help get our board back on the right track.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll get to you a quick response after we close out public comment.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I just got kicked out of Zoom, Mr. Goldstein. So could you call on, I think it's Mr. Comden had his hand up. I can't see. Madam Clerk, could you give me 3 minutes when he starts so I can see that also?
Hello.
Good evening.
Yes, from Ward 1. Thank you.
Yep.
My name is Joshua Comden, and I wasn't going to comment, but I heard many very well connected issues tonight that I wanted to speak about. Usually what happens is that when we talk about saving open spaces like Bear Creek Lake Park, which of course it's a beautiful place, we should preserve it. It gets used as later on down the line as a cudgel against affordable housing, because when we want to add extra affordable housing or anything like that, people will say, oh, we just don't have the water capacity in this area for more homes, for more people. We need to block it. And we can see that if it's not here, it may be pushed somewhere else to increase that capacity, maybe in Commerce City or somewhere else like that. And if that happens, those are lower income areas with more affordable housing than here, which may eventually push that housing out of the area. And this then can lead to where housing is not affordable. People lose their ability to pay rent. They become homeless, and then they need to live in their car until they lose their car, and then they're on the streets. So all these issues that we've talked about tonight are connected to each other. I just want to say that I don't want to look at all of these issues myopically, that we should think about the whole picture when we want to save Bear Creek Lake Park, but then later on, a completely different group of people may use it as a reason to say, we can't do this or we can't do that, and then increase the price of housing, kicking people out. And then we say, well, you can't even live in your car. That's illegal too. So I just want to make us aware of how everything is connected in this situation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Comden. Are there any other hands up? Okay.
Miranda Thompson.
Good evening, Ms. Thompson. If you want to give us your address or ward, or your ward's fine. We'll get you started.
Sure. I honestly don't know my ward. I'm right off of Alameda, just past Union.
Okay.
But work in Lakewood as well.
Great.
I just wanted to echo the support for removing the municipal code prohibiting individuals from vehicles. And just echo the support for the safe parking initiative. It's clear that the need has grown, especially over the past few years, to support people experiencing homelessness. And the program is awesome. I've been to both lots and will really make a difference, I think, in the lives of Lakewood residents.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to speak virtually, press *9. Nobody? Okay. So we will close public comment, and what a fantastic show tonight by all folks. I want to thank everybody for taking the time. Ms. Gill, you're very organized, and I'm thrilled that you're meeting with Ms. Hodson, and maybe as you highlighted some different possibilities or angles, that could be a great opportunity to have that discussion and something that council could then have on a larger scale based upon some of that and some of this feedback. So you're certainly, I think, more knowledgeable than most on this. So thank you. And again, the safe parking will be here on the 25th. And two of our main goals out of the retreat this year were affordable housing and homelessness. So I think you're going to see a lot of dedication to that going forward. Ms. Cooley, yes, thank you for serving on your water district. And sorry to hear that your elections haven't been McKinney Brown. And I think a little bit of the city of Lakewood was incorporated. That's why it was sent back to Jefferson County, but I'll refer to our legal counsel and see if we can get a better answer. Ms. McKinney Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, this is pretty quick response. We received a request for information at 12:02 p.m. and by 1:32 p.m., it had gone from the receptionist to me, to my deputy, and back to Bonneview. So we jumped on this one very quickly and needed to understand the background and history. This was not a water district created by the city. It was created before the city was incorporated. It was created by Jefferson County. So the way the statute reads is that when these kind of issues arise, and apparently they do, the district is supposed to go back to the incorporating entity, which would be Jefferson County. But it's just a may go back to Jefferson County. If it at some point becomes totally encased within the city, it may go to the city. It doesn't provide a process for how appointment would be selected, of how people would be chosen. So there was some requests for information, and we're still waiting for a little bit more information back from Bonneview. There may be processes, but We're still looking for a little bit more information from Bonneview on that. And once we have that, that's something we can bring forward in a report to our city council.
Great. So Ms. Cooley, if you please keep in touch, and we'll make sure that you reconnect. I know time is of the essence, so we'll try to make that happen.
That's great. I'm not aware of any information that's been requested of us, so I can follow up.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Abel?
Thank you, Mayor. It's my understanding, Ms. Cooley, you're kind of caught between two immovable forces. That DOLA says you have to come to us, and we say you have to go to the county, and now we're saying maybe. So, but I would imagine it is a very frustrating position for Bonneview to be in, with different governments saying you need to go here, you need to go there. But is DOLA the controlling authority here on these kind of rules?
State statute is the controlling authority.
And
I think DOLA is enforcing this to the best of their ability, but we all are required to follow state statute.
I understand that, but we need to help these folks out as quickly as possible. So if it's red tape or one agency saying no, go to the other agency, we need to get this settled as soon as possible.
No offense, but we don't go kind of back and forth like that. But we have folks that are engaged, and my understanding from the email chain, there was something requested by Alex about information from the county, but we can work that out and we'll figure it out. All right. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. The consent agenda has been made to expedite council action. It contains both resolutions and first reading ordinances. Resolutions are items of a routine nature. Members of the public will have an opportunity in a moment to comment on any of the proposed resolutions. First reading ordinances appear on the agenda only for the purpose of setting future public hearing dates and ordering the newspaper publication of the proposed ordinance. No public comments will be heard this evening on first reading ordinances. The public will have an opportunity to comment on the proposed ordinances during the scheduled public hearings on the date set tonight by City Council. Any council member may request an item on the consent agenda be removed for separate discussion and action under general business. So before we read that into the record, I imagine Councilor Jansen, do you want to pull one?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to pull item number 7.
The 3 mile plan?
I'm sorry?
Number 7, the resolution updating the city of Lakewood 3 mile?
Yes.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, will you please read the consent minus item 7?
Item 6, Resolution 2022-23, reappointing Laura Kroger to the Metro Water Recovery Board of Directors. Item 8, Ordinance O 2022-3, endorsing the projects and project funding levels in the City of Lakewood 2022 Annual Action Plan for the Community Development Block Grant Program. Item 9, Ordinance O 2022-4, authorizing unbudgeted expenditure of grant funds in excess of $50,000 from Colorado Department of Local Affairs Affordable Housing Planning Grant Program for Strategic Housing Strategy and Action Plan. Item 10, approving minutes of the City Council meetings. Regular meeting, February 14, 2022. Item 11, accepting minutes of the boards and commissions. Lakewood Advisory Commission, Executive Committee meeting, February 8, 2022. Lakewood Advisory Commission, full commission meeting, January 19, 2022.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing on any of those resolutions minus item 7. Nobody has signed up to speak. Seeing none, I'll close. Oh, I can't see online. I'm sorry. Nobody. Okay. I'll close public comment and ask for a motion on the consent agenda.
Mayor Paul, I move for the approval of council minutes, the acceptance of the minutes of the boards and commissions, Order all ordinances except for item 7 introduced on first reading to be published in the Denver Post with public hearing set for the date included in the ordinance, and for adoption of resolutions, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into the record by the city clerk.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I would just like to do one bit here, and that is reappointing Laura Krager. She's here with us tonight. She's a Ward 4 resident, but she's also the new executive director of the Mile High Flood District. And we're super thrilled to have you in both capacities. And you've done just an incredible job, and you do a great job for the district. So thank you for coming out tonight. All right, with that said, no other discussion, please cast your votes. And if somebody could tell me how Counselor Franks, all right. She's a yes, so it's 11 ayes and 0 nays, so fantastic. Will the clerk please read the next item into the record?
Item 12, Resolution 2022-25, expanding the number of seats on and creating a new Lakewood Reinvestment Authority Board of Commissioners for the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority in compliance with the Colorado Urban Redevelopment Fairness Act.
Okay, Ms. Hodson?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would just like to introduce our Economic Development Director, Robert Smith, who has a quick PowerPoint presentation and will be present to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Smith.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. I have a PowerPoint presentation on the screen, and so we're figuring out a little bit of the technology so I can grab up and get it done. Thank you very much. Grab it from here. Well, again, thank you for your time on the adding this item to the agenda. It's been since 2019 since I've been in these chambers, so it's very exciting to be here and to be able to make eye contact with folks. It's a very different sort of an arrangement. We have in front of you Resolution 2020-25. Its effect is to expand the LRA board, and if approved, we would begin working on that process. Just so you're aware, we've had an opportunity to talk about this a couple of times during study sessions over the last 6 or 8 months. And so hopefully there's a lot of background information that we can talk about this evening. The City Council and the City Council for the City of Lakewood serves as the Lakewood Reinvestment Authority Board of Commissioners. There's two different units of government. One is the LRA, one is the City Council, but the City Council serves on both of those. So the 11 photogenic people that you see on that screen serve with 2 hats, if you will, one in each of those. If we were to expand the LRA board, those same 11 folks would be on the newly reconstituted board with a total of 15 folks on there, would add 4, and we'll talk about that just a little bit more. The LRA Commission establishes and oversees the city urban renewal areas in court. The reason that we're talking about this evening, formation of one or more new urban renewal areas in Lakewood. Colorado Revised Statute 312504, parens 2.5, and that was done in 2015, mandates that urban renewal authorities like the LRA represent the collective interest of all the taxing bodies levying a mill levy within the boundaries of the URA. So in other words, we need to take into consideration all of those taxing entities. And we've talked a little bit in the past about how increment is captured and used to fund LRA operations. The folks that we capture that increment that would normally get that increment, if we weren't capturing that, need to be at the table. And that's what they wanted to do for many years, is just have a seat at the table. And so that's why we're proposing this expansion, is to bring those folks to the table and let them have an opportunity to be part of the process moving forward. That same statute dictates that those taxing bodies will be added to the Urban Renewal Authority, and requires that expansion of the board. So how would the board expand? Obviously, at the top of this particular slide, we talk about the fact that the City Council also serves as the Reinvestment Authority. In order to designate any new areas with the city as urban renewal areas, the city has to expand the membership of the LRA to include the impacted taxing districts. And the way that that statute tells us that we need to do that is to first add a representative from Jefferson County, and that is appointed by the county commission. Now, we've had good conversations with the county over the last year. City Manager Kathy Hudson and I have taken the time to really invest some energy into explaining the issues and understanding the issues. They've come back to us with the notion that they will be appointing one of the commissioners to this seat. So an elected commissioner will be there. And we don't have to refer to them as a commissioner on the URA as a commissioner there. So it wouldn't be Commissioner Jones. It would just be Commissioner Jones. So we'd have a representative of the Jefferson County School District. It's appointed by the board, and it needs to be a member of that school board. So an elected representative from that school board. We would also add one representative from all the impacted taxing districts selected by joint agreement of those taxing districts. So the fire district, the water districts, the metropolitan districts, all the Title 32 districts that are in that area would get together and say, here is our representative for all of those taxing entities. And then we would add one more in odd number on the board, and that would be explored over the next 90 days or so in terms of being able to say, well, we do it by appointment or interview. We have ways of appointing folks to different commissions, and we would simply adopt one of those, or I think the plan is to simply adopt one of those to make that additional representative be available. So with this resolution, we'd establish the implementation date at least 90 days out in the future. And during that time, staff would work with the county, the school district, all those special districts, and the council and the LRA to welcome those 4 new commissioners to the commission. The board expansion would not impact any of the existing urban renewal areas or projects from the standpoint of there's no renegotiating of the increments that are available in the existing area. So any area that we formed before 2016 would remain in that same arrangement that we had all the way up to now. If and when new urban areas are designated or the existing areas are substantially modified, an IGA would be negotiated with those currently constituted LRA members, those new members, in order to establish what those increments might be for that new area. Not the areas that would be pre-2016, but just the areas that would be new or substantially modified after 2016. And that would include the amounts of the increments to be pledged to the mitigation of the blight and in those areas. So the bottom line is that these folks would be a part of the board, but they wouldn't be reconfiguring any of the existing areas that happened prior to 2016. And so no new agreements would be needed or to be negotiated for those 26 urban renewal areas. Now, the statute's fairly clear in terms of how that process needs to work out. Obviously, our goal is to bring folks to the table, understand their needs, they understand our needs, and we work those arrangements out for any new areas that get established in the future. And that concludes my initial presentation. Happy to entertain any questions that you may have at this time.
Great. So before we go to questions, I'm going to open the public hearing. Carol signed up to speak. Carol, did you want to speak on this subject? I don't think Carol's here probably anymore. So we'll close public comment and we'll go to councilor questions. Councilor Olver.
Or URA.
Well, there are 2 URAs along the Colfax, URAs along the Alameda corridor.
Could you narrow it down a little?
Sure. Belmar on Alameda. Belmar is its own urban renewal area. Yeah. What we would consider all of Belmar and those 22 blocks that folks recognize as Belmar. The rest of Alameda from from Sheridan all the way over to Carr, basically, are the areas, and it's about a block to either side of that Alameda corridor. So a lot of properties that are involved with that. On the Colfax corridor, east Walmart is, and many of those stores that are in that immediate corner up there, that's one urban renewal area that we often refer to as just the Colfax and Wadsworth urban renewal area. And then from Sheridan all the way out to about Sims, properties along the Colfax corridor, a couple of blocks to either side are involved in there. There's almost 700 properties in that urban renewal area.
Right, but I'm talking about new ones.
Oh, new ones. Those haven't been established. We would have the conversations about where those might be. Conversations have happened previously about areas where we think those might want to be. The Sheridan corridor often comes up. Sometimes the Mississippi corridor comes up. It's one of those things where folks have talked about being able to utilize this tool in different areas of the city. If we want to do that, we need to have this expanded board in order to be able to do that.
Got it, but there's nothing pending right now that we're going, we better do this today, and we can put it off. We don't even know how long right now.
Yes, there's nothing pending that would force this immediately along the way. If there is a decision sometime in the future, these are steps that would have to be taken.
Yeah.
So if we take them early, obviously that gives us a little bit more time when that decision comes up, when and if that decision comes up. But right now, there's nothing immediately pending.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Counselor Abel.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe that as you said, the state has required us to add these new members, including mandatorily adding someone representing the county and someone representing the school district.
Correct.
We could add others if we wish.
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to refer to our legal staff to find out.
Thank you. Councilmember Abel, there's nothing in the statute that would authorize the city to add any additional members. It's pretty clear about who gets to be on the expanded board. It's quite express, and there's no language in the statute that would authorize any additional members other than if the adding the taxing districts like the special districts, the school district, and the county result in an even number of commissioners as it would in this case, then there's another member appointed to make that an odd number, but there's no provision that would authorize the city to add any additional seats.
Is there a provision that would prohibit that? Well, let me express my concern. We have new entities that are mandatory, the county and the school district. The school district doesn't feel any pain from reinvestment or urban renewal because I believe the state backfills the school district, so they don't feel that pinch. When we set Colfax aside as an urban renewal area, it lowered the property assessment by $1 billion. And it took $1 billion worth of property off the tax roll. The folks that hit the hardest was West Metro Fire. West Metro Fire had more duties in the demolition and rebuilding along Colfax. They had to do the inspections, and they got very little for it. So they suffered quite a bit because, in fact, they even went to the Secretary of State to ask for a new look at how these things come back onto the tax roll because their revenues were so severely crimped by this. My point is, school districts get backfilled by the state and they don't feel the pain from LRA or from urban renewal reductions in revenue. I do understand that they need a place at the table. I'm not objecting to that. I'm just saying that unless the fire district lucks out and gets to be the single other district represented on this board as voted by how many other special districts are we talking about? Taxing districts?
I'm not certain the total number on there, but there are several. Many.
Dozen? Anyway, the point
Around that
is,
number, yes.
I think the fire department needs representation on this authority. And I would like to, in the future, not tonight, but in the future, discuss the possibility of adding that district to our mandatory number on the board. And if we have to add 2 more to keep it odd numbers, fine with me. But I think the more eyes on this, the better. And the more opinions from other taxing districts, the better. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Counselor Jansen.
Can I make a motion?
Well, yeah, we haven't read it into the record.
Hasn't been read it yet. Okay. All right, then never mind.
So I would just make a comment. I think we've learned as these have evolved, and absolutely with West Metro Fire and I think a deal that was cut, and whether at the time it was the right amount or not, but with the Belmar project, I think there was money set aside specifically for West Metro. And as you go forward, if this goes forward, I'd hope that we would have them as a partner, whether or not on the board, but as a partner as we look at these projects, because they are an important voice and they're an important partner, and I think they'd be there for these conversations. So Madam Pro Tem, would you please make a motion?
Yes, I move for the adoption of Resolution 2022-25.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Counselor Jansen.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to postpone.
Okay, so before it gets seconded, do you have a date certain?
I'm not sure. I just kind of wanted to get this figured out with the fire department.
Okay,
Second.
so please hold off. So, Madam Attorney, so as we go forward with that, do we need a date certain?
Under the rules of parliamentary procedure, you can table a motion. It is a secondary motion. You must either set it for a date certain to come back, or it automatically comes back in 2 weeks.
There you go.
Okay, automatically in 2 weeks.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second to postpone for 2 weeks. Is there any discussion? Counselor Maya Guerrero.
I completely understand Councilwoman Jansen's concern, and I think share this idea that it's likely a very smart and good idea for our fire district to be a part of these conversations, given that they are so impacted and so important. I guess I have a clarifying question in terms of whether or not we need to postpone, just based on if we approve this now and then we discover that legally we can add another member or member of the LRA, then we just can do that, correct? At that point, we don't actually have to have that figured out now, because we have to do this as a minimum, correct? This is what's legislatively required of us if we want to be looking at that. And then we can decide that it's the fire district that's our special district rep for one. That's one possible outcome. And then if not, we can continue this discussion about whether or not it's legal to add an additional seat, correct?
I'll take that question. Councilmember Maya Guerrero. In any event, the mayor would nominate, as we discussed at the study session, a person to be the fourth seat or fourth added seat. That is going to require a council action to ratify. So at that point, city council would be having that discussion anyway. So yes, there would be that opportunity to come back and revisit if I'm understanding your question correctly.
Fabulous. Yes, thank you. I think in that case, I'm very likely to not vote for the postponement of the original motion.
Okay, anybody else to the motion which is just a motion to delay, which would be April 11th? Is that our next regular? Yeah. Okay. So seeing no more discussion, please cast your votes on the amendment. This is the amendment to delay. Councilor Franks? Okay, so I have, looks like 5 yeses, 6 noes, and the noes being Paul, Franks, Mayotte Guerrero, Vincent, Sharazai, and Stewart. Okay, so we have the original motion before us. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, please cast your votes. And that, well, I haven't showed it yet. Because I can't show it. It's not letting me. Counselor Franks? I'm sorry, you have a yes. Okay. Where's her seat? Can somebody vote a yes on her seat?
Sorry.
No. And you went helter-skelter, so you just canceled yours. Yes. Okay, let's do this again. Please cast your votes. That was pretty funny. All right. So that passes 8 ayes, 3 nays, the nays being Jansen, Olver, and Springsteen. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll see you at the next meeting.
Yes, you will.
All right. Will the clerk please read item 13 in the record?
Item 13, Resolution 2022-26, recreating a City Council Ad hoc Advisory Committee to review and recommend amendments to the provisions of the Lakewood Municipal Code regarding campaign finance.
Great. Open the public hearing on Resolution 2022-26. Anybody wish to comment? Seeing none, I'll close and ask for a motion.
Mayor, I move for the adoption of Resolution 22-26.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Councilor Maya Guerrero, your light is on.
I just want to recognize that the Campaign Finance Ad hoc Committee was at this point has technically been out of date for a while, but I think one of the things that Councilor Abel has brought up as a key issue that was still on the docket in that space is around the idea of being allowed to use campaign finance for childcare or care of a dependent adult if you are campaigning and you are typically the primary caregiver. And I think that is a really critical issue. And so I think, I was definitely getting some questions about whether or not this committee is still.
Most people talking was hurting my head.
This is important stuff. I mean, these kids are being screwed. There's a whole generation of them. They've got constitutional rights that are being violated every day by the police. They take the kids, they rough them up, they throw them in jail. The judges are cold. They throw the kids in jail, they give ridiculous sentences. They don't give a shit, they just care about that much.
The police are coming straight for me underground. Motherfucker got it mad cause I'm loud. Now the carbon copies who police think they have the authority to kill a minority. Fuck that shit cause I ain't the one for a punk motherfucker with a matching gun to be beaten on. And thrown in jail we can go toe to toe in the middle of a cell fucking with me. Cause I'm a teenager with a little bit of dope and a pager. Searching my car looking for a product. Yeah motherfucker I'm selling narcotics. You'd rather see me in the pit than me and my friends. I'm rolling in the benzo. Be the police out of shape when I'm finished. Relocate the tape of the scene of the slaughter. Still getting slow. I'm bread and water. I don't know if they bags or what. Searching me down and grabbing my nuts. Motherfucker on the warfare. When I'm finished, it's gonna be a bloodbath of cops dying on my way. Yeah, Fuck the police. 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 Fuck.
I was just taking out the garbage. Where you been? Shit, man. I've been taking care of these motherfuckers.
Y'all was coming in, and now you're backing out. Now you're backing out. It's hard to talk big with a shotgun in your mouth. Shotgun in your mouth. I'm glad you brought your friends. They can watch it go down. Watch it go down. I got mine too. So welcome to my house. Welcome to my house. 'Cause these are my people, and this is my land. This is my land.
Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate you.
And this is God's plan.
I hope you guys have a good evening.
If you ain't from here, then you won't understand. You won't understand. This is my country. And this is who I am. This is who I am. So welcome to my house. So welcome to my house. I'ma stand up for mine. You better believe it, 'cause today won't be your day. I can guarantee it, you should turn and walk away and get to leaving. Oh, I'll let this 12 gauge do all my speaking. Don't push me on the edge, boy. Don't push me on the edge, boy. 'Cause I'm aiming for your head, boy. 'Cause I'm aiming for your head, boy. And all I see is red, boy. And all I see is red, boy. I told you not to cross that line. I told you not to cross that line. I'm giving you a chance, boy. I'm giving you a chance, you see, boy. The devil ain't a glance, boy. The devil ain't a glance, boy. I can knock you out your pants, boy. Knock you out your pants, boy. I told you not to fuck with mine. I told you not to fuck with mine. Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. Y'all was coming in, and now you're backing out. Now you're backing out. It's hard to talk big with a shotgun in your mouth. Shotgun in your mouth. I'm glad you brought your friends. They can watch it go down. Watch it go down. I got mine too. So welcome to my house. Welcome to my house. 'Cause these are my people, and this is my land. This is my land. This is what we pray for, and this is God's plan. This is God's plan. If you ain't from here, then you won't understand. You won't understand. This is my country. This is who I am. This is who I am. So welcome to my house. So welcome to my house. got a baby girl inside this house, and right now she's sound asleep. So it's probably best for the both of us if you just turn around and leave. Cause if you come in this fucking house, then you too gonna go to sleep. I promise you, boy, don't play with me. I pray to God my soul to keep. Especially this day and age, gotta handle shit our own way. With a 30-30 or 12 gauge behind this door, you're hella weight. My old lady, she rides too, picking up every shell case, mopping up these blood stains, but she ain't seen a damn thing. Most of my people are convicts, hard-headed, no nonsense, so please approach with caution. You never know who's watching, you never know what's on the other side of that front door, and you knocking, might step out like motherfuckers get to dropping. All the neighbors heard was the dogs bark, and the sun was down, it was getting dark, and I told the sheriff it ain't no problems, man, I was just taking out the garbage. So if you don't mind, please excuse me, I'm with the family trying to watch a movie. I'm sure you got better things to do, so I'll let you go and get back to do
coming in, and now you're backing out. It's hard to talk big with a shotgun in your mouth. I'm glad you brought your friends. They can watch it go down. I got mine too. So welcome to my house. Cause these are my people, and this is my land. This is what we pray for, and this is God's plan. If you ain't from here, then you won't understand. This is my country. This is who I am. So welcome to my house. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.
Thanks, God. You guys have a good night.
Welcome to my house.
See you all out of here.